Before NBA crowds knew his name, before Baylor fans watched him explode past defenders, before scouts started talking about him like a future star, VJ Edgecombe was just a kid from Bimini, a tiny island in the Bahamas, chasing a dream that barely felt real. He grew up in difficult conditions, later saying his family lived off a generator for years. He left home as a teenager, moved to the United States to chase basketball, and turned himself into a McDonald's All-American, Baylor standout, and the number 3 pick in the 2025 NBA draft. And what makes his rise so powerful is how far away it all started, because Bimini is not the kind of place most people associate with producing NBA guards. It is small, quiet, and beautiful. The kind of place where the league can feel less like a destination and more like another universe. Edgecombe had spoken about growing up with very little, and on draft night he got emotional talking about the nights his family spent living off a generator and what his mother had to do just to keep them going.
I lived off a generator. I ain't had no electricity. I lived off a generator for 7 years. Man, seeing what she had to go through to feed us, man, it's crazy.
That's the kind of backstory that changes how you watch a player. The bounce looks different, the hunger looks different, the confidence makes more sense. The first thing to understand about VJ is that his rise was not smooth and pre-packaged. He was not born inside the American basketball machine. He had to enter it from the outside. He moved to the United States in 9th grade to seriously pursue the game. His first stop was Victory International Institute in Florida. Then came Long Island Lutheran in New York, one of the best high school programs in the country. That move changed everything. Suddenly, he was no longer just a talented kid from the Bahamas. He was facing elite competition, learning structure, adapting to a new country, and a much more demanding basketball world. For a lot of players, that transition can break momentum. For Edgecombe, it sharpened him. And that's where his story starts to pick up real speed. At Long Island Lutheran, Edgecombe quickly became one of the most explosive players in high school basketball. As a junior, he averaged 15.5 points, 5 rebounds, and 2.4 assists with 2.1 steals and 1.5 blocks per game, helping the Crusaders to a 21-2 record. He was named New York's Gatorade Player of the Year, and people watching closely could already see what made him different. He wasn't just athletic. A lot of young stars are athletic. VJ had hunger. He played like every possession had to be won. And then came the real jump. As a senior, he got even better. 17.3 points, 6 rebounds, 4 assists, 2.3 steals, and 1.1 blocks per game. He led Long Island Lutheran to another strong season, won Gatorade Player of the Year in New York again, earned McDonald's All-American honors, and made Team World for the Nike Hoop Summit. By that point, he had gone from a player rising fast to one of the top recruits in the entire country. ESPN ranked him number 5 in the 2024 class, and suddenly, programs like Duke, Kentucky, and Baylor were all in the picture. A few years earlier, he was still proving he belonged. Now he was one of the most wanted guards in America. And when it came time to pick a school, Edgecombe picked Baylor. Baylor under Scott Drew had become one of the best places in the country for explosive guards and wings to develop into pros. The decision was about preparation. Edgecombe committed in January 2024 over blue blood options, stepping into a program that believed it could turn his raw power, speed, and defensive tools into something much bigger. And the second his college career started, you could feel the pressure around him. Top recruit, future pro, freshman expected to produce right away. And freshman seasons can expose players fast. The game is quicker, the athletes are stronger, the spacing is different. A lot of elite high school guards spend their first college season learning how hard the jump really is. But Edgecombe didn't spend long learning. At Baylor, he averaged 15 points, 5.6 rebounds, 3.3 assists, and 2.1 steals per game in 33 starts. He shot 43.6% from the field and 34% from 3. He was named Big 12 Freshman of the Year, made All Big 12 second team, and finished as a Jerry West Award finalist. Baylor's own release noted that his scoring average led all Big 12 freshmen. But what made people really believe in VJ was how he looked doing it. He played like a guard with a wing's explosiveness and a defender's instincts. He could turn a loose ball into a fast break dunk in seconds. He could rise for putbacks that guards are not supposed to get. The shot still had room to grow. The handle still had room to be tightened. But the physical force was obvious, and so was the competitiveness. Then came the games that made the idea feel real. In January 2025, he dropped a college career-high 30 points against Kansas State. A few days later, he hung 28 on BYU while hitting 6 threes. Later in the season, he scored 24 against Arizona and 23 against Houston. Those were not empty nights against weak competition. Those were performances in a major conference against real teams, the kind that forced scouts to pay attention and pick up the phone. But it wasn't the first time he looked comfortable around higher level talent. Months before his Baylor season fully reshaped his reputation, Edgecombe had already announced himself on the international stage. In the 2024 FIBA Olympic qualifying tournament, still just 18 years old, he joined a Bahama national team that featured established NBA players like Buddy Hield, DeAndre Ayton, and Eric Gordon. Most teenagers in that setting would try not to mess up. Edgecombe attacked it. In his senior national team debut against Finland, he scored 20 points and was named player of the game. Across the tournament, he averaged 16.5 points, 5.5 rebounds, and 3.8 assists as the Bahamas beat Finland, Poland, and Lebanon before pushing Spain in the final. And that tournament changed his story, because once you see an 18-year-old from Bimini share the floor with NBA veterans and look fearless, the projection becomes easier. He was not just a high school star anymore. He was not just an exciting freshman. He looked like someone who belonged in high-level games right now. And the best part was his mentality. In a later FIBA interview, Edgecombe talked about arriving at practice and deciding he was not there to just fit in. He wanted to compete. He wanted to talk. He wanted the veterans to feel him. That kind of confidence can sound reckless when a player is all talk. With VJ, it matched the way he played. That is a huge reason people started seeing more than just an athlete. They started seeing a guard who could become the engine of a team. Not just because of scoring, not just because of the dunks, but because real lead guards change the emotional temperature of the game. They pressure the rim, they pressure defenses, they pressure the pace. Edgecombe does that naturally. Even when the jumper is streaky, even when the half-court reads are still developing, he forces actions. He creates stress, and for a young perimeter player with an elite athletic toolbox, that is often the part that translates first. By the end of his lone college season, the draft buzz had become impossible to ignore. Baylor gave him the platform, but he did the rest himself. He entered the 2025 NBA draft and was selected 3rd overall by the Philadelphia 76ers, becoming the highest drafted player in Baylor men's basketball history. And that would already be enough for most stories. Poor island kid, leaves home, becomes elite recruit, wins in college, and gets drafted top 3. But what pushes this story even further is that once he reached the NBA, he didn't look overwhelmed there either. In his NBA debut on October 22, 2025, Edgecombe scored 34 points against the Boston Celtics in a 117-116 win. It was the most points ever scored in a Sixers debut, passing Allen Iverson's franchise mark and among the highest scoring NBA debuts in league history. Months later, on March 19, 2026, he posted 38 points, 11 assists, and 7 rebounds against the Sacramento Kings. Another reminder that the flashes were becoming something substantial. Now, nobody is saying that VJ Edgecombe is already a finished superstar. He isn't, not yet. But everything about his journey points in one direction. He has the makings of a superstar. A kid from Bimini who grew up with almost nothing. A teenager who had to leave home to chase a dream. A freshman who produced immediately in a power conference. A top 3 pick who reached the league and instantly started breaking records. And maybe the most powerful part of the whole story is that Edgecombe never came from a pipeline built to guarantee this outcome. He had to build belief before the world caught up. On a tiny island, the NBA can sound like a fantasy. In a crowded American high school scene, an outsider can get overlooked. In college, athletic guards get doubted every year if their skill package is not polished enough. But every time the question got louder, VJ just gave the story another chapter. And that is why people around basketball are so intrigued by him now. Because the league always makes room for guards who can bend a game with pressure, speed, vertical pop, and defensive chaos, especially when they've already proven they are built for bigger stages. Edgecombe still has areas to refine, but the foundation is serious. The competitiveness is real. The athletic ceiling is obvious. And the background behind it all makes the rise feel even heavier. From a generator in the Bahamas, to Long Island Lutheran, to Baylor, to the NBA. That's not just a basketball climb. That is one of the most powerful young backstories in the sport. And if this is only the beginning, the rest of the league might be dealing with him for a very long time. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to like, subscribe, and comment below. How good do you think VJ Edgecombe can really be in the NBA?